This game is pure rock.
I am Toy Freddy, and I am evil.
Ooh la la. Toy Freddy, make love to me now.
You all need to stop this chicanery and get some new hobbies.
It was made for the fans. But anywho, Five Nights at Freddy's 2. By this rate, if you know a Freddy game, it'll eventually get a movie made out of it. So yeah, I sure can't wait for that FNAF World or Five Nights at Thomas movie.
Oh, and some other useful information that you may be able to use as...
How would Orson Welles handle this? In terms of movies, video games were infamous for how risky they were to fully adapt into feature films. At least before they knew what fan service was. But how does someone adapt a game that mainly revolves around sitting in one place while Chuck E. Cheese screams at you into a full feature-length movie? But one day, lovingly gifted from the heart of Scott Carhorn, we finally got a Five Nights at Freddy's movie. And right before that movie started, I thought to myself,
Man, never thought I'd see the day. Eat your heart out, Orson Welles. I'm eating popcorn like a deep dish.
and right when the movie was finished, I just let out my emotions. Okay, I never thought it was truly a bad movie, because there is a lot of stuff I actually like about it. Like this guy. Like Foxy's chasing him down, but that won't stop him from making his own weird whimpering noises. He's like a squeaky toy for a dog. If you just throw him at something, he just goes. Going from a game to a movie, I can appreciate that they didn't change so much of what makes the original game so recognizable. Like Chica is not a this thing. But with that being said, it still sets itself decently apart from the game storyline. Like how Mike Schmidt in this story has no relation to William Afton and is instead just some complete nobody whose brother was kidnapped by him about 10 years before. It's a fine enough change, maybe because him bullying his brother to the point of unintentionally killing him would probably make casual audiences just not like him at all. But regardless, I think Josh Hutcherson does a pretty good job here. Same with Matthew Lillard, and just about everybody does with what they were given. The problem is just what they were given.
Bring Abby back here again. I will shoot you.
Man, this script is just... I mean, I think it at least starts off pretty well. Like, Mike Schmidt loses his job after using assault and battery to cope with his trauma. So Lillard hires him to work at Freddy's going by the name Steve Raglan. That is some Detective Bluto mind pretzel type shit. These practical sets and use of real animatronics are easily the highlight of the movie. As easy it would be to just use CGI and half-ass these things, they instead made them not only tangible, but nearly one-to-one with the game, with the help of none other than the Jim Henson Creature Shop. Sure makes me glad Jeff Keighley was able to resurrect Jim Henson from the dead. I mean, not for our reasons. But yeah, they really should have toned down how expressive they were. What makes the game so unsettling is how lifeless and emotionless they felt. Like them just standing still and staring at you like a corpse. It just sits inside your own head for a little bit. But here, I'm actually really glad that they put angry eyebrows and have their eyes glow red. I mean, how else would I have known that they're dangerous? I know that the whole red eyes thing has been beaten to death already, but apart from that, I actually don't mind it whenever they glow orange or yellow, because it makes them look justifiably moldy, undead, or bloodshot at times. It kind of reminds me of that still frame of Freddy with human eyes from the first game. Yeah, besides the first 25 minutes having an actually good atmosphere and a handful of eerie shots, there really isn't much of this movie horror-wise. And really, apart from some kills 40 minutes in, the animatronics are just kind of pushovers for the rest of the movie. Yeah, it makes sense because they have kids inside of them. Yeah, it's a whole thing. But it's just presented so lighthearted and casual, especially the scene with them building a fort. Like, I get the idea, but it just takes away from the feeling of tragedy that this aspect was presented with in the games. This scene would have been fine if it just wasn't trying to be a horror movie. Really, that's kind of the main problem here. The tone throughout just switches very drastically too often, which pretty much matches up with how Finesse is handled.
I will shoot you.
There's also a lot of characters that just kind of felt unnecessary, like those bandits who were clearly only there to have a kill count. I guess Aunt Jane serves as a fine motivation for Mike to take his job, but like, I thought just him being poor and unemployed would have made made for a solid motivation to stay, even without her character. And there's not really a major threat going on for the main characters until the very end, where William Afton shows up out of nowhere in his bunny suit, who, oh yeah, is also Vanessa's dad in this movie. Overall, it would be, no, not scary, but at least an entertaining movie if Mike just did something other than sleep the whole time at his job. These dream sequences are insanely repetitive, most of them don't go anywhere, and they just make the movie a bit of a slog to get through. Which critically is what happened in the end, but even despite that, it was still pretty successful. Like, it made nearly $300 million worldwide, which is 15 times the film's budget, and the fans actually loved it. This was a fun movie. It was made for the fans. Pizza cupcake. I wish I dropped my son off the face of the earth. Me personally though, it's just an okay movie. Listen, I really do appreciate just how earnest this was as a celebratory piece for the FNAF fandom, because there are some really fun Easter eggs like Sparky and Matt Pat, and oh yeah, they play the song at the end. Yeah! And I like how they went for a new story, like how the books went about that, where Circus Baby is an evil human girl, but she just ended up looking like Jessie from Toy Story. But that really does not serve as an excuse to not deliver on the whole animatronics hunting you down thing while Mike just sleeps there for half of the movie. But if I were you, I would just not worry about any of that, because the sequel will be the greatest movie ever made. This took a lot out of me. Like, I spent so much money on popcorn and a poster, whatever. But to answer the question, is this movie better than the first? You're not gonna believe this, man. For being heavily marketed as a scarier movie, this is much, much more unserious and way dumber than the first one. But just for that specific reason alone, I just can't help it. I love it so much more, man. There are so many things in this movie I like way more than the first one, but unfortunately, like 90% of them are out of complete irony because this movie is completely insane. I definitely think this movie at least tries to be a bit more bold than the first one. Like, it opens with a little girl dying on screen after saving an abducted kid, and the only reason she did that is because these grown-ass adults in this scene were all like,
"Excuse me, there's a boy who needs help.
Go tell your parents.
Please, there's something wrong.
Go tell your parents.
Help, please help. There's a little boy being kidnapped."
Get the f out of here!
It's no wonder why this movie is so loved. Remember how I said earlier that Mike in this movie is not related to William Afton? Well, the thing is, I lied, because he is. Just not that Mike. It's this Mike. Michael Afton's role in this movie is completely pointless. I'm sorry. Like, these ghost hunters could have just shown up by themselves to die and have the puppet possess that girl. No Michael Afton needed. But with that being said, he's probably my favorite part of the movie. Every single bit about his appearance and acting is so cartoonishly creepy and devious that it's hilariously comical. Like, this is how he's introduced.
Can I kiss you?
But yeah, anything he impacts the plot with really could have just been done by the marionette and nothing else would change. All he really adds is that he wants to continue his father's evil legacy, while Vanessa, on the other hand, just wants to stop anything related to it. It's pretty much how they are in the games, but backwards, where Michael is the good guy and Vanessa's an evil fangirl. Speaking of changing stuff from the games, instead of the puppet being the one to give life to the dead children and being a protector of them, here, she takes possession of people's bodies and controls the toy animatronic so she can kill every parent in town. This movie is a ridiculous, unstable, hilarious mess that I can't not enjoy.
Want to see my butthole?
Mangle gets on top of a car and gets flung across a street and crashes into Toy Freddy. Vanessa shoots her father in her dreams and he falls off the railing like this. The puppet takes control of McKenna Grace's body and uses it to fly around the restaurant or gallop like a horse. Mike calls for the animatronics from the first movie to save Abby from the puppet like an episode of the Power Rangers. And they actually do by shattering their bodies into pieces. What is going on? Oh my god! And like not even 30 seconds after that, they just die. They die and go to heaven, apparently. Well, Michael Afton is just there, I guess. This genuinely might be the funniest movie Blumhouse has ever made.
I'm not afraid of you.
12 seconds later.
Oh yeah, and Matthew Lillard is in it again. And a main criticism of the first one is how he didn't really have enough screen time. And with this being hailed as a Scream reunion because Ski Ulrich was casted as his former business partner Henry, this little issue should have been fixed, right? They both get 3 minutes of screen time each and they don't share a single scene together. This was so worth the popcorn. While we're on the page of bad screen time, you know the withered animatronics? You know, the entire other half of the cast of FNAF 2, the game that this movie is based on? They all get like a minute each, and they're all just like sitting down for half of that. Withered Bonnie is shown moving for only 10 seconds. I hope you're happy. You really think they deserve a whole ass poster about them?
And I know that Chica doesn't have any hands or anything. Chica probably clenched the paper plate with her butt cheeks, and someone actually made fan art of this.
Oh, someone made fan art of that? That's so exciting, dude. But really the biggest problem with this movie is the ending. It's not because it ends on a cliffhanger, but more so it just felt so rushed and underdeveloped to introduce this aforementioned pointless antagonist to the main characters, only for him to get defeated 2 minutes later and immediately escape afterwards. Yeah, for being marketed with the words bigger, bolder, and scarier, plot-wise nothing was really accomplished in this movie. At least in the end of the first film, it had Mike doing a lot better with his sister, and he at least learned to move on from the past. But here he does try to help Vanessa out with her own trauma for a little bit, only for him to completely disown her because of the whole Michael thing, and the puppet just gets her, so the end, I guess. Overall, yeah, I can't really say that this is a better movie than Sonic 3, the Mario movie, or even the first FNAF movie. But I just had such a riot watching this hysterical mess, so I think it might be my favorite video game movie, because at least for everything that this movie does, it's at least not boring. It's definitely not a good movie, but I definitely wouldn't say it's worth a 16% on Rotten Tomatoes. I'd really put it more like I don't know, 29? I mean, they played the song at the end again.
We are...
It really seems like the pattern here is just relying strictly on fan service as opposed to like decent writing or being just a good standalone movie in its own right, which is why a lot of critics seem to react to it a lot more negatively than the bombarding of praise that the fans give it. But let's be fair, would you really trust the website that gave Norbit a 9%? I think the scene where Rasputia chases Norbit is very scary because she breaks a table. Like I said, I think they're really earnest with just being FNAF celebratory pieces, which I'm all down for. I mean, it clearly worked on me. But do these movies stand well on their own?
No.
That's mainly because there's this attitude towards movies that are only made out of fan service that, oh, critics can't be trusted or it was made for the fans. But even with that argument, a lot of movies that heavily feature fan service still get great reviews from critics. So you can still have plenty of fan service while also being at least a decent standalone movie. Because it's important to remember that if it weren't for critics, FNAF would never exist as a franchise at all. I'm not saying make it an exact copy of the game's story and gameplay, or an R-rated hyper-gory slasher where Afton deep fries a newborn baby. I really don't know what that guy was doing making that. I just really think that these movies, and this could really apply for any video game movie, that they should still aim to be good standalone movies that you don't need any previous knowledge of the game to understand or enjoy. I mean, but hey, Springtrap's in the next one, so maybe they could eventually do, I don't know, FNAF World?
Hey, your mail keeps getting dropped off at my apartment. Like, how hard is it to put up a big sign on your door for them?
Oh man. I really am Freddy Fazbear.